Exercise 1. In this exercise today, we're going to take a look at the functionality in ViaCAD 2D 3D Pro, and this is version 9. So let's begin. First of all, with the Pro version, essentially it's a very good deal because you actually get the photorealistic rendering as well as some additional tools in your arsenal here that you can see. But let's begin. We're going to go ahead and start with a rather simple part. We'll just go and essentially what you have here, if you go to view, you'll see that there's a number of options. You could go front, top, right, right side, left, bottom, isometric, trimetric. There's also the ability to show the axis and the triad is what you see there. Under shade options, if you click on this, you'll have the ability to adjust your shade options. Now I notice the default shade options are set rather low for maybe a low quality graphics card. But today I would think that many computers out there that are running CAD typically have a little bit better graphics. You might want to change these, the dynamic shade to Fong with edges, as well as the shade now, Fong with edges. Make them all the same. Anti-alias helps smooth out the edges a little bit, takes the jagged edges off of the lines, looks a little bit better. Also, update silhouettes I feel is not really necessary. I don't usually like to have that one on. As far as the other options, feel free to leave those pretty much what you see here and hit OK. Now what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and I'm going to start off with the rectangle tool. Now you'll see here if you click on the rectangle, there's several other options. There's a center rectangle, center three point, and there's diagonal. In this case, we'll stick with the simple diagonal. Glide your pointer up to the origin, and you'll see that it snaps and it actually says origin on there. That's good. Go ahead and click and drag out a rectangle. Now you don't have to worry too much about the size because once you do drag it out, you can click, and then over here in the above there's some boxes that allow you to type in values. So the width actually on this needs to be 3 and the height needs to be 5. And so if you hit enter, it will automatically update to those parameters. Now what we could do is we could go ahead and we want to three-dimensionally model this part that you saw on the screen earlier. And over here, if we click on this little arrow just under the little right-hand corner of this, you'll see that there's revolve and there's also extrude solid. That's what we're looking for here. Extrude solid allows you to select through a distance or a vector or to object midplane within extrude. We're looking for a specific distance, and in this case the distance is actually going to be set to 0.5. And now we just have to simply just click and drag a fence to surround what we want to extrude, and it does the work for us. With the middle mouse button on your mouse, if you hold it down, you can actually rotate dynamically, and then the scroll, if you zoom, it allows you to zoom in and out if you scroll up or down. Okay, as you can see here, we have our three-dimensional solid, and what we'd like to do next is we're going to go ahead and draw another rectangle down at the bottom. I'm going to snap in the lower corner and drag this up right about there. Notice you could find the midpoint, which we don't want to in this case, but just be aware that that is a nice option in certain circumstances. Go ahead and click and drag that out. Now in this case we want the width to be 3, which is snapped to the edge automatically, which is good, and then the height needs to be 1.5. So I'm just going to type over that and type 1.5 for the height, hit enter, and we have the height. Now we could go back to the extrude button, and in this case we go ahead and we do want it to be 0.5. Okay, and now we could just click and drag a fence to surround that geometry. Be careful not to select anything else, just what you want to extrude. Now you can see there that we went ahead and we extruded that, but you'll see there's a little edge here. What that is essentially, there's a sketch under there too, but these two solids need to be merged as one or united through Boolean union. And so you'll see over here there's the add solid. If you hit the little arrow to the right of it, you'll see there's add, there's subtract, there's intersect, and there's several other tools for some neat little sophisticated geometry items you might want to make later on. Okay, under add solid we just go ahead and you could just select it all and go ahead and select what you want to add to. In this case, actually, I'm just going to hit escape. Let's try that again. I'm going to select the back face and then this front face. And it should now have merged the two. And if you click on it, you'll see everything is together. Now what we can do as well is we have the ability to hide certain things. So you can actually right click and you'll see the line appear, and you have the ability to go to hide. Now you could actually, if you right click, there's the ability to hide all, or in this case we could say hide all curves, and then that hides all the curves for us. Also, I just want to show you, I have the Concept Explorer up as well as this the inspector. The way I brought those up was under the window here. You could turn on Photo Render. I turned that on to bring that up. Concept Explorer and Inspector. There are other options in here as well that you could turn on and off. The snaps is very useful to have on. If you could activate that, we might use that a little bit later. Also, I have a tendency to tailor the sizing of these boxes to give myself the Concept Explorer, because there's a feature tree, which is really pretty interesting, because on a this is a budget software. I mean, we're not talking very expensive CAD software package here. This one, I think the list is for the Pro version, it might be $250 or roughly around there. If you see here the features, hit the little plus symbol, you'll see there's the extrude, and there's the union, and then there's the second extrude. So you have the ability to go in and you could delete these, or you could edit them, do different things that you want. Now the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead to the circle tools, and there's several different types of circles to choose from. You can circle one point, or in this case circle point center. I'm going to go to a center point circle, sorry. I'm going to go ahead and select that one. And then roughly around here, we actually want it to be approximately the Y needs to be, and right over here is where I'm looking, X, Y, and Z. I'm just going to kind of align myself in this upper left corner here and click and drag out a circle. I'm going to hit the green check mark, and now I can't see the circle, but if I rotate it, I can see it on the back side there. If I click on it, you'll see I could actually use these manipulator handles to relocate it and drag it to wherever I'd like. Or if I just click on the circle, we could change the diameter. In this case, it needs to be 0.75. Now to locate it, we actually want this to be located approximately 4 inches in the Y direction. And then over on the X direction, it should be approximately 1 inch. And that's how we could locate our geometry. Now if we wanted to, we could actually put it in the Z direction and put it on the front. In this case, we go ahead and type in negative. We could type in negative 0.5. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, not negative in this case. I'm looking the other direction. It would just be 5. Or in this case, I could type in 1 because I'm already ½ inch. And that would place it or position it. Unfortunately, it was under the absolute versus incremental. So we'll go ahead and set that to 0.5 again. And there. Now it should be on the front surface that we were working on. Another thing you could do is you could turn on the work plane or to grid or plane only, and you have the ability to set up a work plane and locate it that way. Very much like some of the modern CAD systems that we have here. And this actually is a very modern CAD system. It's only been out since less than 10 years. Okay, since I have that circle now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to Extrude. Now there is the push and pull tool. If you select this, you actually have the ability to drag that in and cut through, very similar to like a SketchUp, and remove that material. When you do that, I select here, you'll see there's a move face. Some of you who use other CAD systems might be more familiar or might be more comfortable with a more traditional method. In this case, I'm going to go to Edit. I'm going to undo that move. Okay, and what we could do here instead is there's the Extrude. There's also the Cut Out Solid. If we select that, this is more traditional, what those of you who might have used packages like Inventor or SolidWorks or Creo. And we're going to go ahead and select Distance. And with the distance, I'm just going to we'll put in the 1/2 inch, and we're going to select the solid for the cutout. So we click on the solid body, and then select the curve that you want. In this case, the circle, and it will cut through. So there's a couple methods for you. The push-pull is really a very neat method of actually doing this. It takes a little getting used to, but again, either one, either option, whatever you find more beneficial to you. Alright, as far as some additional tools here, let's go to the fillet tool. You can hit this little arrow, you'll find fillet. There's also like a hole tool as well that brings up a number of different types of counterbores and countersinks, and you can put in the different parameters for each one. But in this case, we're just looking for the blend edge, which is the fillet tool. Now with the blend edge, we're going to go ahead and set our radius. Actually, we'll keep it at 0.5 for right now, and we'll just select this edge here and this edge here. Now, if you don't like the size of those, you could always select this, and you can find the fillets in the feature tree over here on the right that we set up. By clicking on them, down below here, we could apply a different radius. We could type in 0.75 and hit apply. Actually, let me click on this first. My apologies. Make sure you select this radius 0.05. Then you could go and type it in, or you could type in 1 inch, and you'll see it will automatically update. Let's go ahead and we'll do the same over here. Click on fillet 982. Yours might be a little different, but we'll go ahead and put in 1 inch. So everything, or most things, could be edited here. It's not full parametrics as many of you might be familiar with the sketches and such, where you can put in dimensions, but there is history. So it's definitely pretty strong for considering, again, that it's a budget title. Okay, now let's go ahead and we'll go with chamfer. Okay, and for the chamfer, we could set it to 2 lengths, length and angle, vertex to chamfer. If we go currently, we could go to length and angle. We'll set it at 45 degrees. That way it'll be equal on both sides. And we could keep it at, we'll actually make it 0.25. And now you could go ahead and select the edges. Now if you hold shift, you could select multiple edges, and then they're all in one feature. And then release shift, and then you'll see they'll appear. The nice thing about that, you can see here that they appear. You do have the ability to change them individually, but the chamfer actually comes up as one feature over here. Okay. Again, if you want to change those, we could type in 125. 0.125. Again, middle mouse button to rotate. And at this point, we'll go around to the back side here, and we want to shell this out. So again, hit this little arrow here on this toolbar, and you'll find the shell command. The shell feature, actually, when you click on it, you could set up how much of an offset or the typical wall thickness that you're looking for. So let's go with 0.06. And now, essentially, you could go ahead and select faces if you're holding shift. Oops. And in this case, I jumped a little too early there. So let's go back. We'll select this, go to the shell, and what we could do is add to it. Oops. And actually what I'm going to do is I am struggling a little bit here. I'm just going to go ahead and remove this feature. And we'll try that again. Okay, having a little trouble there with the shell. Normally you are supposed to be able to hit shift according to their own information on here. Hold shift key and select open faces. But what we can do, I found a workaround. I could go ahead, and unfortunately the shift wasn't working with me on this, but I've used this before for many years. I never had this issue, so it might just be with this version 9. It might be a little glitch or something, or just operator error maybe on my part. Okay, but if you want to add, you could go ahead and select faces here for the shell. Click on the face. Now it seems to not allow you to select multiple faces. Like now I tried to hold shell earlier, it wasn't working. But what you could do here is you could look at the face list, and this isn't exactly easy, but the faces closest seem to appear first. So you're able to go ahead and select these and then just put in a 0 thickness and apply, and you can see those will update. And thus we have our shell. Normally I believe the shift command is supposed to work. I might just need to get an update or something. Okay, so there we have it shelled. Now there's some photorealistic rendering tools that are built into this software, and you'll find them right down. Actually, if you don't activate them there, you just have to go to Window and turn on Photo Render. There's also a render library, so you could select that as well, and that usually pops up, and there we go. And we'll just go ahead and put that over here. You can drag it down, maybe make it a little narrow there. And these are just backgrounds you could select. So if you wanted to select a different background, you just drag and drop it in or double click. You could go over here to materials, and now we can see there's a material library. And so for example, this one right here is glass mirror. I don't think I want to go with glass mirror. Let's find something. There's a lot of transparencies and glasses that you can see here. Like here's glass ripple, blue glass, red glass. Keep going down. We see some stone. There we go. Now there's silver, metal, cobalt. Let's go with cobalt. Go ahead and just drag it onto the surface there, and you'll see it changed the color a little bit. Now, when you want to photorealistically render this, one thing you might want to do is first set up this little tool over here for perspective. Okay, and that gives a vanishing point. If you go to this one, this actually allows you to adjust the focus length or vanishing point. Let's change it to 100. Okay, and we're getting some weird things occurring there. Let's change it a little bit. Maybe we'll change it to 50. Okay. All right, and then get it to the orientation that you would prefer. And now we could go ahead and just hit the render tool. And now up here there's some different options for metals and glass. These are just if you don't have anything pre-selected, you might want to quickly click on something. But if you already have a material selected, here you can see it automatically comes up. Now it's rather bright. You might want to turn on some of these options up here. You could turn on shadows on, anti-alias. That's probably one of the cleanest looking, especially with the shadows. Also drop shadows and reflector. That usually does a very nice job. Takes a little bit longer depending upon what you're using. I'm going to go ahead and drop a different material on. In this case, metal graphite. So we could go ahead and click on the render tool again. Click render. And there you can see it makes a rather nice rendering. Some other additions that you might want to do here to make a more realistic rendering. Sometimes adding a fillet can really make a difference. Very small fillets. And so for example, if we made 0.005, and now we could just select a number of edges here. Okay, and they're very small, as you can see. But what it does is it makes it a little bit more defined, a little bit easier to see. Okay. And so now we could go ahead and go back to photo render. And as you can see right here, that edge inside there kind of highlights it a little bit better versus it was just very dark before. So maybe a 0.01 might have worked a little bit better versus a 0.005 or 5,000ths of an inch. But needless to say, there's some photorealistic rendering capabilities in there. You could sometimes just do a print screen if you like what you see on the screen. Otherwise, you could actually, and here there's the option to save it. So some of the settings, and then there's render to file. So you just click on render to file, and then you're able to select a bitmap or and some of the other additional settings here, so like floor options. And unfortunately, the bitmap disappeared. There we go. And we could save it off. I'll just call it B. And there we go. Okay. Moving along, some other things we might want to do on here is create a drawing. I'm going to turn off the perspective first of all, and now we could go to the drawing tools. We go to model to sheet, select the model we want, and then over here we have the ability to go ahead and specify different things, like for example polylines, or if you want shaded views. Okay, I'm going to go with polylines, and we have the different A landscape, top view. There's multiple different options here, so you could select whatever one you prefer. And I'm going to go with A landscape. And then we'll just go ahead. We have set to scale 1:1, which I think will be okay. We could always go back and change it if we need to. And now it should generate the sheet for us. And we might actually want to shrink that down. Now, what you can do is actually you could just undo it. That's what I usually do. It just seems a little bit easier. Again, we'll redo that. I just went and clicked on the drawing, select the object you want to make the drawing of. And again, the A landscape, and we'll set it to a half scale. Okay, it looks much better. Alright, as far as dimensions go, you could go up here to the dimension tool, and there's different types of dimensions you could add. In this case, this is the all-around smart dimensions, which aren't always very smart, but they do a pretty good job. Now, before you actually do that, you have to first click on a view that you want to add the dimensions to, and you get this border that you see here. Now you could go to the dimension tool, and now you could just select edges. And in this case, I'm going to undo that. Sometimes the smart dimensions are a little quirky, hence you might want to go with like just a straight vertical instead, just to ensure that it's going to work better. And we could drag that out with the manipulator handle when that comes out. Okay, the next one we'll go to a vertical or a width dimension here. Select these points. You can just drag it down. You might have to extend the actual boundary so you can see it. Now the reason I'm getting 2.995 is I must have selected one of the fillets. I added those little tiny fillets, and that's okay. Just be aware. You might want to take those fillets off before you make the precision drawing, because you might accidentally pick up on them. And there you can see the fillets. I probably picked up on a tangent edge of it. Alright, then we'll go ahead and we'll add a center mark. In this case, make sure the view is selected. And there's our center mark, and we'll set the axis a little bit smaller than that, like maybe 0.5 or even maybe 2.25. Okay, there's a radius dimension. Or we even have the diameter, so if we want, oh, that's a balloon dimension. Okay, in this case, diameter cutout. Select that. The radius. There we go. Again, it's probably capturing the fillet that I had added. We could drag this out. Drag that up a little higher. Just bring that up and away. Okay, we could also add a little bit of text, so we could put an X2 for or 2 places. So you could add notes to those dimensions as well. Okay, as far as a cross-section, if you want to get a cross-sectional view, just click this little arrow here, and you'll see there's section views. So let's say we want to make a section view of this right here. We could actually line ourselves, drag it off and drop it, and there's our section view. Okay, perhaps we want a detail view as well. Here, we'll move some of these views over. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and make a detail view of this section, like this little region here. So we'll just go ahead and click over here, and you should see detail view. Click where you want to drag out the little detail view, and click to drop it wherever you prefer. Okay, so there you have some different options there for creating a quick little drawing. I know this one's rather messy. You do have the ability to go in here and you could edit you could edit the text over here. Just go ahead and call this exercise 1 of ViaCAD 9. Okay, and there's other options in here as well. This is just a quick little view of some of the tools that you'll find in version 9. And that concludes this lesson.